mind can be managed is a huge question.
The state of the mind that is determining our happiness.
Emotions like joy, fear, anger, why do they have such power on us?
Who am I? Why have I come here? What is my purpose? Why did this world come into being? And so on. And science was making reductionist assumptions.
Please help us understand the real difference between karma and destiny.
When we repeat patterns of thoughts, they get locked, hardwired into our brain. And when something provokes us, immediately the right hemisphere comes into play.
How do we recognize negative energies?
We are not alone in the universe.
I can't focus. I try to concentrate, but my mind drifts.
When we talk about cultivating self-discipline, it requires developing 3 dimensions of our brain. People who are inspired, they bring energy.
Someone who really wants to explore this path but feels little intimidated.
There is chaos in this world, but behind all of it is a grand plan that is unfolding. And that grand plan is
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to the PVT Show Podcast, where we have conversations that truly energize your mind. Well, your mind isn't just a mirror, it's the movie director of your life. And the script, often written by your subconscious, well, without your permission. That's the news here. In this powerful episode, we dive deep into the mind's hidden layers, where thoughts actually become patterns, emotions become blocks, and beliefs become your destiny. Joining us is a legend in the world of inner mastery, Swami Mukundananda ji, an IIT Delhi graduate, IIM, Kolkata genius who walked away from it all to walk the path within. A best-selling author, founder of JKYog, and senior disciple of Jagadguru Kripaluji Maharaj. For nearly and over 40 years, he's helped millions train their minds like a muscle and awaken peace like a practice. So if you have ever asked, how do I control my negative thoughts? Can I really change my destiny? How can I focus more deeply and be more productive? And how do I stay peaceful no matter what life throws at me? Then this episode is your real reset. Because your mind is not your enemy, it's your power if you learn to train it well. Let's deep dive with Swami Mukundananda ji. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you so much for your presence and your blessings on the PVT show. I am so honored to be having your presence on the show today.
Namaste, Poonam. It's a privilege to be here. So happy to be interacting with you. Thank you for the invitation.
I heard that you only landed from California at 2 a.m. And it's so nice and so kind of you to be here at sharp 8:30 in the morning when we are recording this. So grateful, absolutely grateful. Swamiji.
Well, this is the call to duty. This is the work that I do. It's wonderful to have yet another chance to share some learning and some wisdom.
Absolutely. In fact, just to set the stage up, when me and my team were researching about what all information and knowledge and wisdom and so many questions came, and I was amazed to also see that you are one of the only spiritual leaders in the world who is known to be logical spiritual leader, which is a fantastic combination. And I would, when I started going through the number of books that you have written, I said, in one podcast, how can I do the maximum justice to having you with us to talk on the PVT show and to set the stage up? I think the first thing that anyone, because my tribe is more from the corporate side, business world side, they would want to really know is that who is Swamiji? The only spiritual question that everyone has and everyone who wants to progress on the path of spirituality is, who am I? I'm going to ask you the first question. Who is Swamiji? IIT Delhi, IIM Calcutta, started a career, and then decided something else. Please.
Well, Poonam, When I came onto the spiritual path, the first bit of information or learning I had was, who am I? These are all designations. My journey has been continuing since endless of times. And who was I in my past life and the life before that? I have no idea. But somebody has been noting it all and has put me in a certain condition in this lifetime. So while those externals are fine, I chose to see myself as the spirit, as the soul, as a tiny fragment of the Supreme Soul. And hence, I see myself as eternally one who loves the Lord and who serves the
How beautiful. I think the best thing in first thing in the morning. Swamiji, really want to request you to reflect back the time when that inner voice happened, because for modern life also, sometimes, and not really sometimes, all the time, we all have that inner voice which is talking to us, and we don't really understand that this is the voice that is talking to us. Sometimes we give in to the thoughts that are coming, we give it to the situations that are coming, we give in to the circumstances, but then there is always that inner voice. So I really want to decode from your life and experience that when that inner voice happened, that changed your life forever. From, it's a dream for anyone to be an IIT and an IIM, and then from that dream you shifted. Could you please help me and explain me what was that inner voice?
Poonam, as it is said, that we are not material beings with a spiritual yearning. We are, in fact, spiritual beings in a material experience. And that is why these mundane activities of the world somehow don't satiate our soul. And like you said, we all have this yearning to connect with a higher purpose. Similarly, all the relationships around are fine, they are satisfying, but the soul yearns to connect with something sacred. However, they visualize the sacred, however, they conceptualize the sacred, they wish to believe in something or someone who's divine, who's perfect, and to connect with that. Now, in my engineering studies, I was exposed to thousands of equations and models and everything, and that was all very great. But the bigger questions were burning inside me. Who am I? Why have I come here? What is my purpose? Why did this world come into being? And so on. And science was making reductionist assumptions about it. For there was no law that mentioned why laws exist at all. You see, there are so many laws in science, right?
Yeah.
Now, if there are laws, there must be a lawmaker. And nowhere in the body of science was there any mention of it. So it was all great technology, and yet it was not enough. And then when I shifted to MBA, I was exposed to so many humanities subjects. So as a part of the syllabus, we were learning organizational behavior, psychology, sociology, economics. Now, all of that was again great, but it seemed to me that they were still not helping me understand the absolute truth. And in the midst of this, there was a classmate of mine. So on the evening, it was an entirely residential campus. In the evening time, at tea time, he was sitting in front of me and he was not taking tea. So I just casually asked him, why aren't you taking tea? He said, I don't take tea, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't see movies, etc., etc. I said, why don't you do this? Everybody is doing this in the campus. He said, I know the absolute truth and I am trying to get God realized. He had just started off on the path and he had a little bit of pride of being a seeker as well. But his statement blew me off. I know the absolute truth. I said, oh my God, that is what I was looking for. So I say, you have to tell this to me. Now, he happened to live in Kolkata itself. And this was the Friday evening. He said, I'm going home for the weekend. And when I return, I'll tell you the absolute truth. So I said, okay, now I have to wait for through the weekend to hear it. When he came back, he gave me a few simple statements. And it just put all the dots together that we are the soul, not the body. There is a creator. There is afterlife. And the aim of life is to love and serve God. And then I started reading the Gita. But that was the epiphany moment. It was as if everything had become clear. And then the call of God arose so strongly, says this is the strongest call in your life whenever it awakens. And I just could not resist it. I continued with my studies, but it became secondary. And primary became my contemplation and study of the scriptures and practice of spirituality. And then I did my internship during MBA, but felt the corporate world was very artificial. And I was getting suffocated out. And subsequently, I did take a job. And again, the question before me was that why am I working so hard? Is it to increase the profits of the shareholders of this company? Ultimately, what is the end goal of it? And that did not satisfy me at all. Finally, I decided that may as well dedicate myself to reaching the Supreme and helping others do the same as well.
How was your experience? And I really want you to tell your experience when actually the guru appeared in front of you. It's a dream for everyone. It's a dream for me. Jagat Guru Kripalaji Maharaj. How did that happen? What is that story?
Well, yes, that is a very, very sweet story. After taking sannyas, I traveled in a variety of places. For 5 years, I was traveling Bharatvarsh, meeting different saints, reading different scriptures. And it seemed to me that the destined meeting with Kripalaji Maharaj was somewhere behind the divine design of God. But when it happened so dramatically. I got a book of his, and there was a picture of his in Bhav Samadhi. When I saw that picture, I said, oh my God, this saint seems to be a descended saint. And then I heard his knowledge. He had an ocean of knowledge. So when I first had his darshan, it seemed to me that he had an ocean of love within him. And I just knew that I had to connect with him. Later on, he remarked, when I later on came to him, that this boy, I was 28-year-old at that time, this boy recognized me as one recognizes his mother. And the connection was so strong. When I was ready, the teacher pulled me to himself.
How beautiful. You've lived in silence and also with global followers. You're one of the very revered spiritual leaders where it's not just the Hindu audience or people who are Sanatanis or people who understand or want or aspire to learn Gita that they follow you, but there is so much of international following. We also happen to read several articles and several things about you, and there's one thought that resonated across is that we find peace when we sit with Swamiji. That was one very strong thought. So how do you personally stay centered And there's so much of, outer movement, because as you said that this is, I believe, your Karma Yoga right now. You are giving your time to me for this podcast is also Karma Yoga. How do you do that? Sorry for asking your secrets.
Well, Poonam, it has been now, I've been a monk for over 40 years. So when you practice something doing for so long, then you have to become better at it. Now, one of the things that I learned from my Gurudev was that I must prioritize seva, service before self. And I took that as my dharma. As regards remaining centered, I prefer to see life simply and keep my life simple. And that is why, although there are plans ahead and there are dreams ahead, I prefer to stay in the moment. And that is the best way to do anything. The only thing we have in our hands is the present moment. And if we just focused on doing our best and leaving to God all the rest, life remains very simple. It becomes complicated when we add the burdens of yesterday along with the apprehensions of tomorrow and hold it all together with the stress of the present, then we start tottering. Instead of that, if we just decide that what is the best that I can do, let me do it. Now, as a spiritual leader, there are problems that come from all sides. Because in our mission, we've got hundreds of teams that are working. We've got so many congregational centers, ashrams, etc., etc., etc. So there are constant demands on time, and there are constant fires here and there, everywhere. But I have trained myself to be always solution oriented, which means there is no point brooding over problems. The only thing you can do is focus on the solutions. So if we had just focused on the solution, then there's no stress.
Right.
And that is the wisdom that Sri Krishna gave in the Bhagavad Gita. When he said, look, Arjun, karmanye vadhikarasti ma phaleshu kadachana. The results are never in your hands. The only thing in your hands is the effort. Be detached to outcomes. The outcomes are not for your pleasure in any case. They are for the pleasure of the Supreme. But don't give up doing your duty. So just strive to do your best. And when we work with that kind of a mindset, then work becomes a joy because it's giving inner fulfillment. Whenever we work for a higher purpose, the happiness comes from within. That is the serotonin pleasure from inside, as today's neurologists would say. Likewise, whenever we strive to keep on improving ourselves, again we get the inner satisfaction. So at our organization, we have adopted the slogan, do your best, be your best, and you will feel your best.
Yeah.
So it's a simple paradigm to live and keeps a person happy.
How beautifully you have put. I think you have set the stage up for the chapter 2 of this conversation. Thank you for, first of all, telling us little references on how you embarked on this path and how you are changing millions of lives and, thinking. And you're one of the only writers, I would say, from this field who has went straight on and said mind management. No beating around the bush. Mind management. Such a powerful topic. And in this conversation, as I said about the chapter 2, I really want you to help us, the busy professionals, understand the art and science of mind and then how to manage it. Because if I were to ask anyone, and if they were to also express themselves, for example, they would say that yes, mind is there, it is busy, we are working. mind can be managed is a huge question. So I would leave the floor open to you for us to first understand this object called mind, then what is subconscious mind, and then your wisdom on the mindsets that you have explained in your book.
I always keep reminding people that this mind is of such paramount importance. Your experience of happiness or misery is not tied to the externals, but the state of your mind. You will find in the poorest villages of Bharat, simple villagers living in a deprived condition are full of gratitude. They say, Babuji, Bhagavan ki badi kripa hai. On the other hand, people living in the big towers in Manhattan are completely stressed out. They are living a life of experiencing lack and deprivation out of a sense of entitlement. So it is always the state of the mind that is determining our happiness or lack of it. From the Vedic perspective, the mind is called the reason for bondage or liberation. So if our mind is filled with anger, greed, desire, hatred, envy, then we are under the meshes of the material energy, Maya. And if we can free our mind from those clutches and attach it to the divine, then we will be in a state of liberation. So we are literally where our mind is. In Hindi, it is said, Phul na jana is nuske ko labh anek uthaoge, jaisa man ko bana sakoge, वैसे ही बन जाओगे. क्योंकि मन के जीते जीत है और मन के हारे हार. Now, Poonam, you have asked me about the subconscious mind. One is the conscious aspect of the mind of which we are aware. I'm having a bad thought. I'm feeling a little uninspired. You're aware of these thoughts. And a major portion of your mind is the subconscious of which you are not even aware. So this subconscious exists as your memory bank, and it works thousands of times faster than the conscious mind. For example, when you engage in the activity of typing, you are not consciously thinking where to place the fingers. The subconscious is doing it. So any habit that gets programmed in us, now it resides in the subconscious, and it is done merely out of past habits. So likewise are the mind sets. When we repeat patterns of thoughts, they get locked, hardwired into our brain, into our neural structures, and they become the paradigms through which we act. So, for example, somebody has cultivated the mindset of positivity. In every situation, they are choosing to see the silver lining. The glass of their life may be half empty, but they are choosing the half full. Now, that is a habit of thought that they have practiced until the stage of naturality has come. So, if somebody cultivates such a mindset, they will be endowed with emotions of hope, with emotions of happiness, with emotions of gratitude. And that is why in this book, 7 Mindsets, I've started this off as the first mindset, which is the mindset of positivity. And then, supposing we realize the importance of being positive and then discover out of self-awareness that I fail in such positive attitudes, now what to do? Should I play the blame game? But that will not get me anywhere. So it is better to take responsibility. And this is the second mindset of taking responsibility for your emotions. So factually, there is a gap between the environment and our mind. No matter how adverse the circumstances, we can always choose to harbor optimism, gratitude within ourselves. So when we realize this gap, then we don't blame anybody for our bad moods. They say, if I am feeling down, I am responsible for it. Once we decide that the onus is on myself, now the aspiration arises, I need to improve. And here, the power, the fuel for helping us improve is the mindset of inspiration. People who are inspired, they bring energy to their work. They stick to excellence in all that they do. And whether it's a material pursuit or a spiritual activity, they keep on going beyond obstacles.
Right.
For one who is inspired, the obstacles seem to shrink. For the uninspired, a little stone seems like a mountain, and they give up so easily.
Right.
So beyond now, once we have the mindset of inspiration, after this comes the next mindset, which is purity of intention. As the saying goes, Bina break ki gaadi, maut ki savari. The dacoit Veerappan was also extremely inspired, but he did not have the purity of intention. And this purity of intention comes with transcendental wisdom. When we decide the universe is not for my pleasure, I am for the pleasure of the universe. At that stage, rather than wanting to enjoy material nature, we cultivate the mindset, the attitude of service. And that attitude of service is one of the finest attitudes you can bring to your relationships, to your profession, to your work. So after purifying your intention, it is still not enough. Now you need a roadmap on how to progress. And this will come from the mindset of knowledge. So, knowledge, even in the world, you first get the theory and then engage in the practice. We realize that one little gem of wisdom from our mentor, from our teacher, can make such a difference in our lives. So, in this being the age of knowledge, as the sociologists say, we have opportunities to acquire those gems of wisdom, provided we are eager and thirsty for it. And after that is the good ideas are a dime a dozen, but they are not worth a broken nickel until they are implemented. And what is the gap between knowledge and its implementation? Self-discipline or self-control. And that is why the mindset of self-discipline is one of the finest virtues you can install in yourself. To those who have worked on cultivating this, literally nothing remains impossible then, because they can follow the right diets, they can keep their mind in focus, etc. Ultimate, the seventh of these set of 7 mindsets I've mentioned as the mindset of growing in the face of problems. Because problems are the reality of life. If we are progressing, the sign is that the journey is uphill. And if you are working for achieving something meaningful, you will naturally come across problems. Now, in the face of them, we must not crumble. Rather, We need to cultivate the proper attitudes to bear so that we remain focused on the solution. These are the 7 mindsets I have presented in that book.
How beautiful, Sandaji. This is such a gold mine of knowledge. And now, please allow me to ask you a little, how do I put it? You may find it to be, what is this question? But please allow me to ask you that. Uh, you know, emotions like joy, fear, anger, they just come uninvited. I may be the best leader in my team, or I may be the best person on a particular day, but then something happens that as a human, I don't know whether personally I should call it my mind playing with me, or ये मन की बात है, ये मन मुझे नहीं करने दे रहा, ये मेरा दिमाग मुझे नहीं करने दे रहा. But these emotions, which are very heavy emotions, uncontrollable, they usually come uninvited and of course unannounced, because we don't know कि हम यहाँ जाकर गुस्सा होंगे या हम यहाँ जाकर हमें डर लगने वाला है. Minus, I would say, bungee jumping. I know I'm going to get scared. Except to that, how many times I am going to be attempting bungee jumping, but there is bungee jumping happening in life every day. In situations and businesses, sometimes you have to take very tough calls. Sometimes we have to build the conscious mindset to not take any call for business people. So what are emotions really, and why do they have such power on us?
Poonam, emotions are arising again from the mind. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So human beings are emotional people, are emotional creatures. Probably the closest who come to us are the dogs. You can see the dogs having their mood on and mood off. But the other creatures don't have so many moods. When 2 ducks fight, they flap their wings for a few minutes and then they turn around and they again flap their wings and they've forgotten about it. It's only humans who are affected for long, and the plethora of emotions they're going through, whether they could be of joy or dismay, etc., etc. We must remember that these emotions are not us. They are creations of a machine that we possess, which is the mind. And that is why we have a choice whether to accept the emotion or to reject it. And that is why our Vedas give us the Sakshi Bhav, which in the West has become popular as mindfulness, the witness consciousness, where you become a witness of your own mind. You say, oh my God, my monkey mind has started playing mischief again. But then you decide that this emotion is not helping me. So why not distance myself? And how do you decide? There is a faculty of the mind called the intellect. That is the analytical ability. So literally we have the buddhi and the man, the intellect and the mind. The intellect makes the decisions, and the mind then harbors the emotions or creates the desires. So for example, consider the emotion of anger. The mind has presented it. I am furious because this happened. But the intellect can decide that, look, giving vent to anger will hurt me terribly. So that is why if somebody's boss tells them a nasty thing, they suppress their anger. अरे भाई नौकरी तो आजकल बड़ी मुश्किल से मिलती है, control yourself. It's not that they are beyond anger, but they know the art of controlling it when required. Now, when they go home, they vent it out on their spouse because they know there'll be not too many repercussions out here. So, the intellect of humans is endowed with the ability to control the mind whenever it decides. And this is an important aspect of mind management. You empower your intellect with good wisdom and then use it to control the mind. Even a little child knows how to do these things unknowingly. The year round, they are feeling harassed by their mind because they feel that the mind is not focused on studies, and the parents scold and still it doesn't work. But the same child goes to the annual year end exam, and there they control their mind for 2 hours. And with razor sharp focus, they keep on doing their best. Where did this focus come in from? All the year round, they felt scattered. Well, once the intellect decided these 2 hours are really important, it had the ability to hold the mind in check. So this, interestingly, there's a word in the Gita called Buddhi Yoga, the yoga of the intellect. And this is the Buddhi Yoga, where we are using the intellect to control the mind.
Wow. You expressed it so beautifully that we have a choice to control it. But we are exercising that choice to control it when we know that the other party is too powerful than us. Say, for example, your own boss, and you don't have a choice, as you said. So your intellect is exercising that technique. I'll call it a technique or a tool. Then you go back home and you know that the other person is not as powerful as in your life. I mean, they don't have much power. You can exercise anger. Now, the question that I have is, for example, it's an inlet for them and outlet both. So in different situations, we are receiving it from different places, and then we know where we have to remove it. The thing is, and personally, we don't even feel good after removing that anger. We know that there is a guilt, we are not feeling good. Oh, it was not required. The moment it subsides now. So, Swamiji, my question is, can you help us? Can you help people who want to not get angry? They have the consciousness that, yes, it is not good. It is harming me, my body, my consciousness, my, mindset, my happiness, everything. And also it is hurting the other person. In that situation, what's the tool? What should one do when they have this speaked out anger or fear, both?
Yes, Poonam. I will go a little into the neurology out here. Our brain has the left lobe and the right lobe. So the right lobe is responsible for the emotions. And when something provokes us, immediately the right hemisphere comes into play. How outrageous. So this is the knee-jerk reaction where anger flares up. Now, the first thing we need to do there is to let a little time pass by, just half a minute. Because within that time, the left brain will kick in. And the left brain will start analyzing, is this by reacting, is it going to help the situation or to complicate it further? So we first need to give ourselves a little time. And then instead of reacting, we will choose to respond. Sometimes the response may be a scolding if it's your little child who needs to be corrected. But invariably, you will decide to hold your tongue in check. So I'm reminded of a story of a lady who went to a sage, and she expressed that I experienced this fury on my mother-in-law and I just cannot tolerate her behaviors. I realize where she's coming from and it's not correct of me to shout, but I make the mistake. So what to do? The sage gave her a bottle and said, next time, the moment you feel angry, you take 2 drops from this bottle. It's a medicine to control your anger. and keep it in your mouth for a minute. Now she started doing that and things changed tremendously. But in 2 months, the bottle was finished. She went back to the sage and said, can you please give me more of the medicine? It has worked really well, but it's finished. The sage said, it was just distilled water and nothing else. You're holding yourself in check. Permitted your own brain a little time to think. And then we all have the common sense to realize that anger is not good for us. And that is a simple tool.
How beautiful. But you often speak about belief systems. I've seen lots of your conversations, and that becomes the most important. You have, in beautiful ways, explained belief systems. And my very simple and humble question here is that how do these beliefs form, and how can they silently write the script of our life? Is it true to say that the belief system silently writes the script, or it is untrue?
Yes, Poonam, that is absolutely head on. Our belief systems, they are defining the script of our life, and they are determining the direction of our life. They are defining the lenses through which we are seeing the world. The world is inherently auspicious and benevolent, or the world is a bad place, etc. So we have got innumerable beliefs within ourselves. What are these beliefs? These are assumptions that we have made. This world is so complex that our brain cannot process it. It's like an equation with infinite variables. And that is why, to simplify its work, our brain makes assumptions. Now, those become our beliefs. We don't realize that our beliefs can hurt us so badly. Like, for example, let us say Dinesh went for one job interview and he failed, and he went for a second job interview and he failed. And he jumped to the conclusion that I failed twice, I can never succeed now. That belief was illogical, it was incorrect, but it has become the script of his life. And thenceforth, either he doesn't apply for job interviews, or his own belief tells him that I cannot succeed. And his subconscious, where the belief is residing, is becoming his own worst enemy. So we must realize the importance that beliefs play in our life. As Henry Ford, the inventor of the motor car, said, whether you believe you can succeed or you believe you cannot, in either case, you are right. Because if you don't have faith you can succeed, your subconscious will sabotage your efforts. So these beliefs, which are so important, people are just permitting them to happen. We choose the food we eat, we choose the attire we wear, but we permit beliefs to happen. 3 people said that you'll make a killing by investing in real estate. Person decided. 3 of my friends said, must be true, and created a belief. The Vedas, the divine perspective on this is that don't permit beliefs to just happen to you. Create beliefs within yourself in an intelligent way. And what is the intelligent way? You use infallible knowledge. If your belief is based on good knowledge, it will be a good belief. It will be auspicious for you. It will lift you up in life. And if the belief is just based on hearsay or emotions, etc., then it will not help you. So if you decide that beliefs are so important, there's a 3-step process for creating them. The first is Shravanam. Either hear or read good, reliable wisdom. The second is Mananam. what you have heard, you contemplate over it. Because that enables us to internalize the knowledge. Otherwise, Poonam, you have experienced people hear your podcast, they give you a shabashi, very nice, and after 3 days, they've forgotten all that they had heard. So, contemplation is so important. And the third is called nididhyasana. This is deciding with the intellect. This is it. For example, if you decide that I have a friend, that supreme, who's always watching out for me, this decision of the intellect will create a belief which will completely dispel fear from your life. Right? So use knowledge and translate it into beliefs through the 3-step process.
Wow. Thank you so much for giving this formula. And you very rightly said, when I was not able to jump into the studio just a while ago, all I had to do was that, okay, I'm facing problem. And हम ये भी तो कहते हैं ना स्वामी जी कि कुछ अच्छा होने वाला होता है तो पहले प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं. तो मेरा बिलीफ सिस्टम था, I have to meet स्वामी जी, let's see, this has never happened. I'm telling Arpana also, you know what, this has never happened, but ये भी तो एक बिलीफ सिस्टम है. And then I had to like take a deep breath and said, okay, now let me pray. I looked at you. In my head, I actually for a split second meditated. I said, whatever is the problem, do some magic and remove it. And I jumped into the studio. That was my experience. Really.
Exactly. See, we are not alone in the universe. So we have our Supreme who is sitting actually in our hearts, and he can act through different people. So we have got so much of assistance in this universe if you only choose to believe it. Let me tell you a little story about that, Poonam.
Ji.
There was a grade 5 schoolgirl who was traveling in a plane. Next to her was a business tycoon. And the plane hit turbulent weather. And the pilot announced that we are in a difficult situation. And the plane was vibrating, so there was pandemonium amidst all the passengers. But the schoolgirl was sitting most peacefully. And that impressed the business tycoon. He said, Beti, everybody in the flight is terrified. How come you are not? She said, Uncle, the pilot is my father. He's taking me home. I've got nothing to worry about. Wow. So our pilot in life, if he can make it that supreme, our eternal father, then we'll also have nothing to worry.
Why we have to worry? True. Swamiji, this always actually confuses people. And I'm straight coming to this question now because I think this conversation is leading in the right direction for whoever is watching this and listening to this will understand that please help us understand the real difference between karma and destiny and how subconscious can intervene, and can it intervene?
Absolutely. Karma is the action we do from our free will in the present. And the word karma has got many interpretations. Here, I'm interpreting it as the actions we do with our free will. And destiny is what is coming to us from the past. So the question arises that when something happens to me, is it a consequence of my destiny? Or was it a result of my present karmas? There is an element of destiny in our life, definitely. This is the law of the universe. As you sow, that shall you also reap. Karma pradhana vishwa kari rakha jo jas karai so tas phalu chakha. But that destiny is a small portion. And if we don't pay attention to our karmas, then we will remain stuck. It is like if you are cycling and a hill comes in front of you. This is like the bad destiny that has come in your life. So at that point, you don't say, okay, life has become difficult, let me stop. You do more karmas, put more effort, and you climb the hill. Likewise, when life becomes difficult, try harder. And then the uphill will not always remain. Subsequent to that will come the downhill. This is the good destiny that has come in your life. And things are going like the breeze. You say, okay, this is lady luck is by my side today. Very nice, but I will still endeavor with the same energy and don't expect the luck to last. Again, you will come to the flat ground. So the fruits of destiny will keep coming in your life. You should focus on your efforts. Now, the fatalists, they say, no, nothing is in our hands. Everything is destiny.
Yeah.
You ask them, where did the destiny come from? From my past life. That means you did karmas in your past life that created your destiny. So if you did karmas to make your destiny in your past life, you can do karmas in this life as well, because the rules are the same from life to life to life. So if we had the freedom to do karmas in the past, we have the freedom to do karmas today as well. And to utilize that free will is the essence of true living. And to be a fatalist is to destroy the potential and opportunities that God has bestowed in our hands.
Swamiji, again, in my perspective, a difficult question. So, for example, for a segment, if I were to represent that segment and request you to help me understand this and all of us, this part of the spiritual side, which is if there is no past or future, for example, I'm a non-believer in the past or the future, then how do I understand the destiny and karma? Would then the destiny and the karma still exist? Do I have to look at my life from that lens or no?
Well, Poonam, if we nullify the past and the future, then a lot of questions will arise about life which will have no answers. For example, some child is born blind, and that child grows up and says, why was I born blind? Now, if you say that, beta, you had no past life, that person would lose faith in creation. It is only when we accept that there is a past that is explanation for where we are. And then only we take responsibility that wherever I am in life today, I am responsible. And if I want to make my future different, I must do things differently. Now, we have had materialistic philosophers in the Indian tradition as well. And one of them was Charvak, right? So Charvak said there is no future life. This life is all there is. Na swargo, na pavargo, va naivatma paralautika. All these are just stories to scare you. Asmi bhutasya deyasya. When your body is burnt, you will cease to exist. So when there is no future, there is no liability to do good things. And that is why in his reductionist perspective, Charvak said, Yavad jivet sukham jivet. As long as you live, be happy. If you get happiness from ghee, then beg, borrow, or steal. But drink the ghee. And the same perspective in today's world, it is called YOLO. Mm-hmm. You only live once. So the YOLO perspective is eat, drink, and be merry. There is, don't pay any thought to the future. However, if a person is slightly perceptive that this will not answer the bigger questions in life. Where am I? where did I come from, who am I, etc., etc., then they will choose to think more deeply. People who don't wish to think deeply, they adopt these philosophies. Forget about tomorrow. Live in the present. Do whatever you wish. There is no tomorrow. But we all realize that it leaves so many questions unaddressed. So the path of spirituality is for the deep thinkers. And using even their common sense, they will realize there is more to life than this.
Why this understanding is different in every person? This is also prarabt, or this is also sanskar, or what it is?
Definitely, if we see that some people completely refuse to have faith in any of these things, it just doesn't resonate for them. And for other people, this kind of conversation or this kind of belief structure comes so naturally. Now, this is a consequence of their journey of the past. So, all that we did in our past life, we have forgotten. But it is there in our subtle body and our causal body. And the dispenser of our destiny, he has noted it all. So, for example, in the Gita, Arjun said, look, Sri Krishna, if I start off this path which you are talking about and I don't complete and I die before, will not all my effort get wasted? So, Sri Krishna said, listen, don't you worry. I am taking note. And in your next life, you will start off from where you left. So, the detachment you had developed, the wisdom you had accumulated, the devotion you had cultivated, it will come to you so easily that you will then be able to move ahead from there. Now, somebody did not have that kind of sadhana in the past and they are struggling. Nevertheless, even if somebody is struggling, it is not a rule that they have to go through lifetimes to cultivate the faith. There is tremendous power in satsang, in the association of saints. Ek ghadi adhi me punyad, tulsi sangat sadhu ki. So moments association with a powerful saint can endow faith in the hearts of people. And then we have also examples of Ratnakar, who was a hunter and he had committed so many outrageous things. However, he was able to transform himself to a saint who has been eminent in history, Valmiki. So if Ratnakar could become Valmiki, the possibility is there for everyone. The path is open for all.
How beautiful. Thank you so much for saying this. I believe that this question and this answer is going to be widely seen by, I know, the people I'm talking about. I would now request some of the questions that have come from your fans and people who follow you on your socials, and people who were very excited when we said that I am getting, and this has to be my product, that I'm sitting with you. So for sure. So they said, and I have kind of decoded their questions in very simple language so that they can get a very nice brief answer from your side. Thank you. Top resonated question was and is that I can't focus. I try to concentrate, but my mind drifts. So you have spoken about 3 levels of focus. If you could please throw some light on it.
Lack of focus is the problem of literally everyone. So when one discovers that, they should not be disconcerted. This was the question that Arjuna asked Sri Krishna. He says, Chanchalam Mana Krishna. Oh, Sri Krishna, this mind seems so difficult to control. It seems to me more restless than the wind. I imagine the great Gandhi Dhari Arjuna is expressing his difficulty. So if ordinary people like you and I, we say, "Oh, I'm struggling with focus," there's no big deal there. But Sri Krishna said, yes, Arjun, Sanjaya, your problem is definitely there. Nevertheless, the mind can be brought under control by repeated practice and detachment. So I was just wondering the three things that you're talking about. Well, when we talk about cultivating self discipline, it requires developing three dimensions of our brain. The first is I want awareness of my higher purpose. Where do I want direct my thoughts? The second is I want ability to resist the lower allurements. Something is attractive, but it's not purposeful, so I'm able to resist it. And the third is I will. The ability to keep your mind on the subject of your choice, even if it is boring. So force your mind there, even when it is unpleasant. Now, these three aspects of self control, I want, I won't, I will. The more we can develop them, the more we master our mind. So the problem in mind mastery is the immediate pleasures that are so alluring. And the second problem is that the valuable attainments are always upstream, right, and reaching them is a struggle. So spending time on Netflix is not a problem at all. When working hard on that project report to present to the corporate, your company board is so boring to the mind. And that is why people are struggling with self-control. So the same is manifesting in our experience of meditation as well. That inability to resist the lower pleasures, inability to go beyond the boredom, and then forgetfulness of the higher purpose. But what I explain is that your willpower, your self-control, your focus will grow one strand at a time. It's like you exercise your muscle. Right. Now, you can't expect to develop them all of a sudden. It will have to be a sustained practice over months and years. Likewise, in meditation as well, you strive to meditate. And even if you are not succeeding, yet you are exercising these three aspects. I will not. The mind says, can I think of IPL? And I'm saying, no. You are telling your mind, stay here. So awareness of where you want to be and the strength to say I will and the strength to resist I won't. You are exercising them and enhancing them one little strand at a time. Actually, now neurologists have discovered that in 11 hours of meditation, people's brain scan changes. And a sustained 3-hour period of meditation can also change the brain scan. So the brain is so pliable. And that is why I have faith that if you are doing these exercises, the changes will come. Just be patient. Wait a few weeks and you will see, oh my God, I've unleashed this dimension in my personality called self-control. I was not even aware I had. The possibility existed. The practice will get us there.
The practice is the key. Wow. I am like charged up for so much more now.
That is inspiring.
So somebody has asked this question, and actually his name is Gopalan Rao, and I'm mentioning He said that it feels like a storm of negative thoughts that keep coming and nagging, whenever we are in the stream. So, should we fight these thoughts or should we ignore them? And we are not able to ignore, obviously. Or should we go deeper into meditation and try to find the roots, which is also kind of a therapy? And what is the easiest and sustainable way of doing it?
Okay, so Poonam, when it comes to dismantling negative thought structures, in my book, Power of Thoughts, I've presented the 3-step process. So the 3-step process starts off with first dilution, and then substitution, and then sublimation. So let's take a look at them step by step. When you become aware that your mind is creating negative thoughts, you realize that you have fallen into the rut of negative thinking. So the characteristic of negative thoughts is, firstly, they come automatic. You don't have to try. Such and such person hurt me, such and such person hurt me. Now it's coming automatic. Second, they are unproductive. You realize they're doing nothing to your happiness or your positivity or motivation. The third is they are presenting a distorted version of reality.
True.
This person is so bad, this person is so bad, right? Which is not the reality. The fourth is they are justifications of why I don't have to be happy or why I don't have to be productive. We are justifying our lack of productivity, effectivity, etc. And the fifth is these thoughts are intrusive. Even though we don't want them, they still keep coming.
Okay.
So, right. So when we realize that our thoughts are playing this game, now we know that I'm in the grip of negative thinking. That self-awareness is very important. So what to do? If you tell yourself, don't keep resentment, it's not going to work. That's an example. Because the more you tell your mind, the more the mind will think of it. Whom should I not resent? That person who hurt me. So every time you think of giving up resentment, you will bring that person in your mind and the resentment will increase.
Correct.
Instead of that, you step one, distance yourself from the thought. That is the Sakshi Bhav, the witness consciousness. Oh, my monkey mind is again playing mischief. I will disassociate myself. Now, the Western world tells us about mindfulness, but we go one step even higher. Say, start with self-awareness. You are the soul. And you have a mind, you are not the mind. So you have the freedom to watch the mind. So now, once you dilute, you distance yourself from the thought, it loses its venom. You all of a sudden realize it is not as compulsive as I was thinking it is. Okay, that gives you freedom. Then the second is, you question the belief that is creating that thought. Behind every negative thought is a faulty belief. My future is dark. Now there is a faulty belief that there is no divine plan for me. So there is always a faulty belief. Now again, the power of beliefs, which you had asked about. So this faulty belief is ultimately the root cause of the negative thought. And you replace the faulty belief with a good one. And then you replace so you question the belief that created the thought.
It's not easy.
No, you will have to do it. If let us say, for example, the negative thought says that somebody hurt me and this is so bad.
Yeah.
So now you question it, that the saints were also hurt, but they did not harbor negativity. They chose to utilize the situation to their advantage. Now, I cannot control the externals. I can control my thoughts. If I am harboring resentment, I should take responsibility for it and not blame the external provocation. So this is where you need the wisdom, Poonam. The more wisdom you have, the more you can question those faulty beliefs. And then you substitute the negative thought with the positive one. I will see the silver lining in the cloud. I will try this lemon that life has served me with. I will make a lemonade out of it.
Wow.
And that is what people in this world who went places did. So replace it with a positive thought. That is step 2. It is called substitution. And the step 3 is sublimation, which means now you start repeating the positive thought. So neurons that fire together, they start wiring together. Earlier, the brain had wired to negativity. Now you repeat the positive thought again and again and again. I've got so many blessings in my life. When you repeat the thought 1,000 times, it'll get wired in your head and it'll become a natural pattern of your thinking. So this is the 3-step process.
Very well explained. Thank you so much. This was one of the finest and best explanations to a very difficult question, Swamiji. Finally, how do we recognize negative energies, whether it's people or environments, and protect our inner space without any guilt?
There is negative energy, there is positive energy. The world is full of dualities. Jada Chetana Guna Dosha Maya Vishwakina Karatar Santa Hansa Guna Gaha Hipaya Pariharivari Vikar. The Ramcharitmanas states that the Creator made this world full of dualities. There is the rose flower, and the same bush has the thorn. The summer is followed by the winter. Success will be followed by failure. Fame will be followed by infamy. This is how the world is. So people in your life will also come with all kinds of energies.
True.
We have always a choice to decide what we wish to focus upon. If we make a big deal of negative energies, we will only increase their impact on our own mind. Instead, let us focus on our own thoughts. So in the Ishavasya, I'm coming to the Ishavasya Upanishads, the question has brought you there. The first mantra of the Ishavasya Upanishad states Ishavasya sarvam yatkincha jagatyan jagat. It's such a wonderful mantra. It says God resides everywhere in this world. So when you decide that He is Ghat-Ghatvasi, then even in all those negative energies, He is there. Have faith. And you choose to see the God residing everywhere. Like if you place milk and water before the swan has got such a contraption in its mouth. It will drink the milk and leave the water.
Yeah.
So likewise, a saintly nature, a good person, chooses to grasp the good even in bad places. And the sign of an evil mind is they choose to grab the bad even in good places. You tell them that, Sri Krishna was like this. Yes, but he used to stand crooked. We'll find some defect there. So instead, let us make our vision divine. Let us choose to see the goodness everywhere. The saints are in that level where they see God everywhere. So the gopis, the whole world was Krishnamaya for them. Now that is a state of siddhi, of a siddh. But at the stage of a sadhak, we must make it a self-discipline. And I will only see good. And even if in my enemy, I will see the God residing in him. And I will choose to utilize the situation to my benefit. It's like, that story, I don't know if you've heard it, that one saint had a very acrimonious enemy. And a saint did not believe he had an enemy, but the enemy believed that the saint was his opponent number one. So he used to criticize the saint all over the place. The saint would take it in his stride. And one day the enemy passed away. And the disciple said, Guruji, this is the most liberating moment. That guy was criticizing you in public. He is gone. He's left the world. The saint started shedding tears. They said, Guruji, he troubled you so much. Now he's gone, you're crying. Guruji said, it was because of all his opposition that I was growing from inside. I was growing in tolerance and self-control, etc. Now that negative aspect of creation has disappeared. I'm wondering, how will I progress? So there is a saying, if you wish to purify your mind, either you learn mind management from Swamiji, which is a very long journey, but there is a shortcut to it. And what is that? Nimbak niyare rakhiye angan kuti chabaya. Nit sabun pani bina nirmal kare. Find a critic, right? And decorate him. Put a tilak on his forehead and say, sir, please begin. Without soap and water, my mind will get purified. So this is the mindset of seeing the good and converting every situation for your inner growth.
Very beautifully explained. Now, some people say the Upanishads are too complex, which they are, of course, because we need, spiritual river leaders like you to make us understand, and for us also to embark on the path of even learning to taking that first step to even think about that Upanishad could be something that we can also read, we can also understand and adopt. So, what would you say to someone who really wants to explore this path but feels little intimidated? So, is the new book which is coming out, which I'm also very excited about, and I would love to read, and I would again love to do a conversation with you on that. Is that the first level for somebody to understand? Because it is the confluence of all the three paths. Would you like to throw some light on it?
Yes, Poonam, the Upanishads, they reveal to us the absolute truth.
Yeah.
So they throw light on the bigger questions in life. Who am I? Where did I come from? Etc. Now, for some people, these questions are really important. And the Upanishads are a sacred source for wisdom on them. Why do we respect the Upanishads so much? Because they are not the creations of a human being. It's descended knowledge. They are parts of the Shruti. The Vedas are called Shruti, knowledge that came through the oral tradition. It was 5,000 years ago that Ved Vyas put it in writing, but he's never called the author of the Vedas.
Yes.
He's called the divider. The body of knowledge existed all along. And the Gyan Upasana kind of that is the Upanishads, which is, they are not touching the rituals at all. They are just concerning themselves with knowledge, wisdom, and devotion. So the Upanishads are the most reliable source of wisdom. Nevertheless, there is a rightful perception that they are difficult to understand. When the computer revolution just began, somebody asked me, Swamiji, how come Indians are so good at it? So I said, look, for thousands of years, they've been dealing with the virtual space of Upanishadic knowledge. So that is why the virtual space of IT, they are able to conceptualize it quite easily. So amongst the Upanishads, the Ishavasya Upanishad is considered the foundation of the entire Upanishadic tree or structure. And it throws light on karma and jnana and bhakti. So it's such amazing how it harmonizes the material aspect of life, spiritual aspect of life. relationships in the world, relationships with the Supreme, your material knowledge along with spiritual wisdom, science along with spirituality. So in 18 mantras, it solves the riddle of creation. And it
Wow.
starts off in the most profound and mind-blowing way. This is the Shanti part before the first mantra. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate, right? So people have heard this mantra. It says, look, the source of creation is perfect and complete. And that is why the creation that has emanated from him is also perfect and complete. It seems to you there is chaos in this world, but behind all of it is a grand plan that is unfolding. And that grand plan is the evolution of the souls. It puts life and the world in a completely different perspective. And then the first mantra is the one that I just talked about, Ishavasya Sarvam, from which the name comes. It says God is all pervading. And that is why literally this Upanishad, the name translates to the Upanishad of the all pervading God. Now it is found in the Shukla Yajurved, the Karnava Shakha. It makes the 40th chapter. So the previous 39 chapters were primarily about karma and minorly about jnana, and the subsequent chapters about bhakti. And that is why the Ishavasya Upanishad, it throws light on karma plus jnana plus bhakti. So it's like a one-stop resource for giving us a wonderful panoramic view of Vedic philosophy. Now, how to understand it? See, the Upanishads themselves, they say that understand us through an acharya, through a teacher. Even in our material education, we had the textbook, but we also had the teachers. Now, here the knowledge is more esoteric. It is not immediately perceptible. So the need of the teacher becomes even more relevant.
Sure.
And that is why teachers from time to time, they have given their commentaries on the Upanishads. What I have written is a commentary relevant to modern times, making ancient wisdom accessible in modern times.
Swami, thank you so much for doing that. I believe this book, you have explained it so beautifully, is going to help millions of people who are in the midst of the destined situations. And I'm using the word destined situations because today you gave me the clarity that, look, Poonam, there is some element of destiny that is going to play out. And personally, my very big key takeaway from this conversation, thanks to you for giving your valuable and very, very precious time, is that that element of destiny is going to be just a small part that you have to, if it is good, then be happy about it. If it is not very good, the way you don't like it to be, for example, then endure it. But that endurance can be built with the knowledge and the wisdom that you have shared, the various mental models. And I would want to say something after this conversation, though I've had several conversations through the platform of podcasts, which is a passion project for me. But you are one of the persons, and this clearly explains that I am actually talking to an IIT and an IIM, because in everything there was a model, there was an SOP, there is a formula, there are steps. How beautifully you have explained it and made it so accessible to the modern world. So thank you so much for doing that, Swamiji. As your parting note, is there anything people who feel stuck and all, should they just pick up your book and start reading, which I will be doing for sure myself? Is there anything, any message for the people out there who currently, maybe due to, let's say, destiny, are not feeling very comfortable in life? Your parting notes, please.
Well, Poonam, thank you for your kind words. It was definitely such a pleasure, privilege, and an honor to be on your PVT show and enjoyed the conversation. Well, Parting note is just this: wisdom will make a huge difference in your life. I always come across people who keep saying their whole life got changed. And let us find answers to the problems we face in that wisdom. Let us cultivate the mindset of assimilating the wisdom within ourselves. If you wish to find a profound resource for that wisdom, then this Ishavasya Upanishad is an amazing scripture. And that is why the Mahatma Gandhi's words, they ring so true, that if all the scriptures of Hinduism were to be destroyed, then only the first verse of the Ishavasya Upanishad to remain, Hinduism would survive eternally. This is the depth of the knowledge that this ancient text has provided. Let us drink deeply from its fountain source and enable it to make a difference and sparkle out of it.
Thank you so much, Swami. Thank you. I seek your blessings for everyone around and the whole world around, not just me. I should not be this selfish. I seek your blessings for the whole world around. Thank you for your time.
Well, Poonam, my humble prayers at the feet of the Almighty, that He may bless all of us, bestow auspiciousness in everyone's lives. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Pranam, Swami. Thank you.